I'm the principal industry liaison with the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. I also work with the Career Pathways team, and I'm so elated and thankful to have among us today a really jewel for the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. He's a hard worker. Not only is he a hard worker, he's an expertise in his field. So I'm gonna pass it on to Mr. Jaleel Cantarero. Nice to meet you, sir.
Hello, Roderick. It's nice to be here. Yes, my name is Jalil Cantarero, and I am the program coordinator for Higher Gulf Coast Youth. I oversee the career exploration program, and I oversee the summer jobs program here with Higher Gulf Coast Youth.
Oh wow. Well, but Jaleel, I tell you, that sounds like you got a lot of tangibles under yourself, man, in reference to the work that you're doing. And I've seen you do some of the great work behind the scenes. So I tell you what, we definitely love to have you a part of this team. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about job shadowing and in reference to some of the students in the particular Gulf Coast region. So I got a few questions I'll be asking you going forward. So I'm very excited to ask it. So one of the things we want to talk about is understanding the concept of job shadowing programs and how they offer students the opportunity to observe professionals in their field of interest. So, Jaleel, what is job shadowing and how is it different from an internship or a part-time job?
Well, Roderick, that's a great question because the distinction is helpful to know, especially when you're applying for them, right? So,
Yes, sir.
a job shadow is the experience of following a professional through their day-to-day work to learn about what they typically do. And it differs from an internship or in a part-time job where the an internship can be a little bit longer because a job shadowing opportunity can last a couple hours, like a day, up to
Hmm.
like a week, right?
Okay.
Another crucial difference is the an internship has an academic component that is distinguishes it from a part-time job, which and we offer paid work experience. And so, with the academic portion being that deciding factor, sometimes with a part-time job, the idea is to find and practice soft skills.
Mm,
Internship is to help develop those academic skills that have been learned or are being learned. And then a job shadowing is to learn the typical day-to-day work that um, a job can do within a couple hours, time being the difference. Yeah.
okay. Good answer, Jaleel. I like the way that you broke those three different pieces down: internship, job shadowing, and a part-time job. I think you gave an excellent overview on why those differ between one another. Also, Jaleel, as you was answering that question, I had another thought that came to me. What might observing a professional in your field of interest be helpful before a student commit to a career?
Before committing to a career, it's when you are considering a career, it is helpful to know the day to day. It's helpful to know like what a typical day will be. And like that is like the main
Mhm.
question because yes, you can study the licenses, the certifications to do all the things, but
Right.
if 90% of your job is doing like one task, it can be surprising at times. And so close observation of a professional, right, in the field
Hmm.
doing the job is gives that clear picture, gives that
Hmm.
clear picture
I
of
agree.
knowing what your 9 to 5 may be, right?
Right.
And there are times where like um, someone may romanticize, right, a job or an industry that most of the time you'll be doing a report and you'll be 10% of the time you'll be just talking about the report. 90% of
Right.
the time you're doing investigations for the report. And um, to know that day to day gives that clear picture before you have to commit or you decide to commit and if you like it
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It kind of brought back memories when you were talking right then. I kind of saw myself in high school and I had an opportunity for a job shadow day. And so one of the things I always loved to do was work in partnership and partnership development within government, right? So that was one of my always desires, Jalil. And I can remember going to the Morehouse Parish Chambers of Commerce. My counselor took care of the logistics, and they met with the director of the Chamber of Commerce. And this was my 12th grade year, and
Wow.
so having an opportunity to see the chamber at work and what details and how their partnerships are linked, man, it was so invaluable. And I even fast forward, 20, oh man, that's many years ago now. I'm gonna say about I was trying to think, but over 20 something years ago, Jalil,
Yeah.
it
Wow.
come to fruition. I'm still involved with chambers of commerce, still
Yes.
involved with government,
Absolutely.
and it led to a scholarship, man, and from that job shadowing opportunity. So just
Yes.
having that mindset of what you want to do and how to do it, and have somebody there alongside yourself, and you being that person, Jaleel, for our students in the region, man, that's so valuable, and we appreciate that opportunity that you're giving those students. Also, Jaleel, what types of industries or roles are best suited for job shadowing opportunities?
Well, that's a great question because there are, all of our jobs are different in all the various industries, right? And there
Right.
are times when a client facing role can be really helpful to know and helpful to see, especially if it is facilitating like care. So like physicians can be really good to know how they're going in and out of like
That's a good one.
researching what they need to do, as well as like patient care, how to do that, and like what that can be. Sometimes how it's can be surprising as to the amount of work that needs to be done,
Mhm.
right, for client facing.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
those jobs where like it requires a lot of certifications and for professional services like law services, accounting, consulting. Those jobs can be really helpful to know in the sense that for law degrees, like many times you're doing investigations, you're doing a lot
Mhm.
of research that can
Yes.
be, if that's not the part of the job that you like, maybe you like the justice part, it can be helpful to know that, hey, maybe you need to pivot if that's not your forte in the career that you're going after, right? It's
Hmm.
uh and when it comes down to it, I think there are benefits to seeing any job, even if it
Yes.
is even if it is always on the computer, to know like this person's always like going online, having to connect just with the laptop. The amount of work, brain work that requires someone to work all day managing things online, it can be really helpful to know the minutia of
Yes.
going in and completing certain tasks to com- to fulfill the role that is most likely very important to the company that they work for. So yeah, I would say that there is value in almost every industry to know, especially the ones that are behind closed doors, like where we don't really get to see that the job. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Jaleel. Excellent answer. And I appreciate you walking us through that answer too, because it kind of broke it down, and you laid it flat so where we can see every tangible that goes into, a role that's best suited for this particular opportunity. So I really appreciate you, Jaleel. And I'm thinking ahead and exploration and exposure. What could you learn from job shadowing that you may not get from a particular classroom or online research? What can you learn from that?
That's one of the best parts of job shadowing is like knowing and highlighting the exposure you get. So like one of the things that comes to mind that is just the best is the workflow, right? So
Yes,
knowing
yes.
you get there and how much time needs to be allocated to certain tasks, right? So
Right, right.
there are the skills that come with knowing, all right, this task is going to take 4 hours. This task is going to take 30 minutes. This task will require a lot of time where you're locked in. You really got to dial in and
Mm-hmm.
know this is going to require your full attention, right?
Yes.
How many hours are spent. Along with that, um, in while you're studying, you may be working on your own, but for the job, it will require a team. So those team dynamics would be really, really helpful in knowing how to interact with others, communication styles
Yes.
that the
Yes.
that your host employs, understanding the types of ways to manage different communication styles, along with uh, decision making processes, and
Yes. Yes.
knowing the tools and the systems that come with decision making, and who needs to be involved with certain decisions, and at what point in the career ladder are you able to make the decision to move forward with the process, or if it needs to be approved by somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing those kinds of ladders, as well as, in that same sense, the trade-offs that come with the having to put off the decision making to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
The
Yes. Yes.
stressors and the constraints of a job, like the things that really eh, make the job a little bit more difficult, the things that like make you have to log out at 5 p.m. and really have
Mm-hmm.
that separation of work and play, right?
That's right. I
I
think I like that you said that, Jaleel, because I think we got later on in another session we are talking about, self-care and those things as well. But also, when you're thinking about your dream job and you're paying attention to what's shadowing a particular individual, you can see what it takes. You can see what is needed by the company at hand and the skills that you will need to display on a day-to-day basis. So I really appreciate that, man, in reference to you explaining it into detail in reference to job shadowing. Also, how
yeah,
might shadowing somewhere I'm sorry, how might shadowing someone in your dream job change or confirm your career plans?
well, it's it can be helpful to know what kind of sometimes what kind of personality, kind of disposition is helpful to be in. It's not helpful to have to be in a role. It can
Right.
really bring to light if this career is fulfilling, if it can be too stressful, if it
Mm,
involves too much risk, or if it puts you in a light where you are not ready for. It can help you prepare for the role if need be.
right, right.
Um, there are, um, yeah, like,
Well, I think you definitely hit it out the park on that. I can remember, working in the school system, Jaleel, and a lot of dream jobs for a lot of students were, I was going to the NFL. I want to be an owner, and I think if they had an opportunity to follow those athletes and see how rigorous and how much they're practicing, how much time management is the key, and you have to be certain places at certain times, and the expectation is already set there, and that's a dream job for a lot of people. It pays a lot of money, and they have a passion for sports and things of that nature, or ownership, and so I think having that direct look into it definitely may change some things for a lot of individuals. Hey, maybe I need to put more time in this particular endeavor so that I can
right,
have a better outcome. So,
right,
Jaleel, I follow you and I really appreciate you for explaining it to us. And, that kind of brings me back to brainstorming about preparation and professionalism. My high school teacher always say PP, preparation and professionalism. It was one of the things that he always stressed to us. So I'm going to ask you a question about that. What are some good questions to ask the person, the student, to ask the person that they're shadowing during their visit? What would be some good questions for the students to ask?
well, Good questions for a job shadowing would be understanding that first off, it's a couple hours, right? Maybe a whole day.
Right.
So it would be good to ask about what a typical week looks like, right? So
Hmm.
understanding, all right, Mondays, you may come on a Monday when they are not as busy, but knowing that, hey, like what's a typical week? Knowing that Wednesdays are the days that they have deadlines due and a
Gotcha.
lot of meetings to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
It it would be helpful to know and ask what are the, certifications and skills that you have employed to get to where you are, especially if that is position that's something that you want, right?
Right.
Understanding that. Um, you might find something challenging, but it's helpful to know and ask what your host finds to be the most challenging part, which can be a
Mm.
surprise as
Yes.
to,
Yes. I
all right,
like that, Jaleel. Yeah.
those are surprises that come along the way. And then reflecting on where you are, I think it can be helpful asking what entry level positions did you go through to be able to reach where you are. So knowing that career lattice, knowing where
Mhm.
what steps we're taking, and knowing sometimes it can be you have to start at the bottom to get to where they are, really. And then asking questions about um, sometimes pay can be really, really helpful to know, and knowing if
Yes.
the pay is worth the effort and if it is reflected in the market, that can be a helpful question to ask. And then someone that's working in the field right then and there, it will be helpful to compare with what trends are happening, right?
Gotcha.
So
Yes.
where
Yes.
do they see this role headed towards? Because as we move forward and so many technological advances, it's
Mhm.
can be all right. Where is like AI coming into this job and how is it affecting?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
And we.
someone in the role is able to see sometimes be involved in the conversations as to how that industry is shaped, right?
Mhm.
Knowing where like right now the things that are printed in books can in the next year can be outdated, right?
Right. Right.
And so
It
if
changes.
you
You're
are
absolutely right.
they change. And so someone that's in the field right then and there, the big value is having the opportunity to ask where it's going, how it's headed, and those trends that are happening. So they can most likely let you know of what skills would be helpful,
Hmm.
certifications they're going for, and how
Yes.
you can eventually be a peer with them.
Yes, yes. I like that, Jaleel. That's a great, great answer. And I like that you broke that down in reference to those different categories because
Mhm.
ultimately, time create change. Change is something that's constant. And me and you both know this AI is definitely taking the world, I mean, by storm.
Right.
Over almost overnight, and it's something that's been developing fast pace. And I was just looking at programs of study in some colleges. They're offering these programs around AI,
Yeah.
getting even for ourselves, getting caught up on the minutiae of AI and how it could be implemented in our roles to
Mhm.
help the Gulf Coast Workforce Board reach their goals. So definitely, I love that answer. We could create a whole subject about AI. Um,
Yes, and its
so
influence.
yes, yes, I definitely agree. And maybe that's something we should look at going forward for sure. So one of the other things I think about is professional dress. So the next question I was thinking about, Jaleel, how should a student or an individual dress and behave during a shadow experience? Because we know first impressions are everything.
Yes. And so first impressions are, like you say, the biggest thing that come in. And this, imagine it as like you're coming in for an interview, right? As
Right,
you shared, you never know what the job shadow can lead to, but we know that it can lead to opportunities. So
right.
to go in thinking, all right, this is an opportunity for a scholarship. This is an opportunity for being looked at to be hired later on. You want to come in um, like if the job requires it, a suit and tie. If a job requires it, a nice polo, right, as like
Right, right,
basics.
right. Yeah,
And
business
yet the
casual. Hmm.
yes, and so the idea would be to come in as the host dresses at the minimum, right? Researching in advance what that would be, or speaking like to one of us as a career advisor or at the board and asking for a recommendation. We can help provide that resource as well if you people need help. And yet, that professionalism of how we interact, it is a full day at times, and to know that the whole time you are acting as if it is an interview is important. So we want to be on our best behavior in the way that
Yes.
we ask questions, the way that we want to be seen and portrayed later on and talked about. We want to be um, proud of the way that we went in and the way we came out. And so um, the what else?
Jaleel, I think you did a good job on it, man. I think you broke it down in reference to you kind of almost gave an insight of our work day, looking at the culture, how we dress, polos, business casual, sometimes suit coat, sometimes suit and tie, for those
Right.
board meetings and what have you. So I
Yes.
really appreciate that, Jaleel. I think you did a really deep analysis on that one. So thank you so
Oh,
much. You did great,
happy
man.
to.
Yes, sir. And so another thing I was thinking about, after the internship and the job shadowing is complete, what should the individual do to leave a good impression? Maybe a follow-up or thank you
Mhm.
note. What do you think it would be a good thing to do as a follow-up?
Well, these days, I would highly recommend a note that is handwritten to
Wow.
demonstrate that real
Yes.
like gratitude that you can feel and that sometimes comes out as you write, as you put a pen to a paper, the
Yes.
gratitude that comes out and it can be expressed um, is like no other at times. And so I would highly recommend a note. I would also these days consider the idea of providing this is a silly one, but a if you are on Instagram or if you are on
Social
social media, it can
media.
be it
Yes.
can be helpful to make a post and simply share with as many people as your followers allow to say, hey, like I had this great opportunity. They and maybe highlight the work that's being done. If
Mhm.
they are really heavy on social media, that can be helpful. Um,
Yes, I agree.
but first and foremost is a handwritten note um, to
Mhm.
really bring that out. And then if it if time allows, and if you're part of an educational program, sometimes a reflection to bring to your class
Mhm.
and share the connection that was made, right? And
Good.
highlight it to
Yes.
others and share the good word of the company and the host that is willing to spend the time and the energy to support youth specifically.
Yeah.
So,
And I like that you added that personal touch, right? Writing a written note. Because I think that's almost a lost art now, in reference
indeed.
to conveying something that's good. If you had a great experience, I think it'd be much more heartfelt as well. But also, we do know in this age of technology, and I'm glad that you brought it right on in after the write up about the note. Um, Social media. Social media is a big aspect for a lot of companies. A lot of people in general are connected to those
Connected.
endeavors. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
they're definitely connected.
And
So,
it's not always on I wouldn't even say on link I wouldn't even say like social media. No. I would say that yes, I said Instagram, but I also mean LinkedIn. LinkedIn
yes,
is the professional way to go about that. So scrub this
fully agree.
about since Instagram, but if you don't have that, but I would highly recommend a tag on LinkedIn to let people know your your efforts, right? And
Mm.
the experience that you gained. And LinkedIn can be a great tool for that.
Yeah, Jaleel, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm sitting over here smiling because, the regional convener event that we held back in January at the Ion. Right after that event, I could
Yes.
remember going to LinkedIn and students were tagging on LinkedIn trying to figure out what was going on, what ways they could be connected, and how they
Yes.
enjoyed the particular convening. So I like that you showcase LinkedIn because it's something definitely could be utilized. And I see some of those individuals are seniors and they're moving on, doing
Mhm.
internships, and they're doing great things, getting scholarships. And I'm like,
Yes.
wow, this is amazing. This is what this platform is all about. So thank you, Jaleel.
It
I really
is. Yeah.
appreciate that. Also, applying what they learned, the students have learned. How can job shadowing help them decide to what to study in college or if they want to go to trade school?
Right. Well, to decide, um, well, touching on how we the value of a job shadowing opportunity, it's
Hmm.
the I can't even well, touching on the value of it, right? So it's knowing the minutia of it and knowing the sometimes the care and ask. I want to talk about hmm, pause time here.
No, it's okay. Take your time, Jaleel. No right or wrong here. We're learning together, and I think the
Mhm.
great thing about it, we've got a lot of great conversations going on
Mhm.
about job shadowing internships, and so it's no big deal. I think you've definitely hit on a lot of different things. I think you also hit on the qualities you observe in the profession as well. So I really
Yes,
appreciate that, man.
the
And yeah, go,
qualities.
go ahead.
Yes, so it's on that same point of like the qualities that you see in a college or a trade. Well, with a college or a trade school, it can be sometimes you imagine someone can imagine like, oh, I need a 4-year degree to do that job that I want.
Hmm.
When
Right.
if you are able to shadow someone who is in the field, you can learn that there is a pathway to get to where
Yes.
you want to be that you didn't know of before, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the ways that there are sometimes a pathways through college, and then there are pathways to trade through trade schools,
Hmm.
and the networking that can happen between them and the opportunities that arise within each one can vary,
Yes,
right?
they can.
And
Very, very much so.
they vary, and so the value of a job shadowing and working with a host and learning from the person in the field is invaluable in that sense. Someone that is able to share stories, maybe their own experience of how they might have had the same thought
Hmm.
of, hey, this is my main pathway has to be college. I need a 4-year degree to get to this spot when you're in the field, it can actually be a couple handshakes, a couple years of experience, a
Yes, sir.
certification or two, and then
Yes.
boom, you're in the field already gaining experience
Yes.
uh, versus doing a lot of academic work to get to where you want to be that but just not being in the field, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
that's the
And I
value in it.
and I like that value. And it's like, having those handshakes, having that one-on-one time with those individuals, it can kind of set you on a trajectory to
Mhm.
positive enlightenment to the field that you're seeking to be a part of. So having
Mhm.
that one-on-one time and having that experience that's tailored to something that you're passionate about, if those individuals, those employers, those individuals that own companies see the passion that you have within inside of yourself, they'll be
Yes,
more apt to find different ways to put you in those particular roles. And I
exactly.
and I can remember I'm thinking about an opportunity. I had a student, um, really young lady. She was a junior um, in HISD schools, and she went through this internship for this company, this energy company here in Houston. and they enjoyed her so much and the work that she was doing, and she was willing to work hard. They created a job for her senior
Wow.
year. So she would go to school, and at a certain point she would then go to her job. And they was creating a pathway for her to have a full-time job when she finished high school with this energy company. So it's about those relationships and putting those individuals in those particulars. It could lead to some positive later on down the line. And I wish I could follow up with her now. It's been several years ago, but she was really making some great strides and very positive in her approach. And she really, was working really hard. So, she observed those professions, and it was a part of a job shadowing opportunity, and
That's
an
where it
internship.
starts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that can
So
be where it starts. And it
that's
is,
it's
as you say, the relationships that you build out
right.
in the job shadowing can just take you to different opportunities. And those, especially when you imagine how this person that's hosting you will eventually, if you continue down the same path, will be a colleague of yours, will be one of your peers to in the industry. So you're already establishing a firm relationship because you're spending hours with this person. Spending hours with this person, and you're on them about the job, you're on them about like how they're doing, and the fact, I don't know if I've just imagining someone with you, just learning about everything that you do is for the host probably an honor to be able to host somebody if and
Yeah.
those feel this way. So yeah.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree. Well, Jalil, I think we definitely wrapped it up, and we touched on a lot of information, and I hope it's very useful to the students and individuals that be utilizing these curriculum webinars. But I just want to say thank you for taking out valuable time out of your day to provide your expertise and your knowledge and your wisdom and your understanding which you brought to the table today to share this with the region. So, Jalil, I just want to take my hat off to you. Thank you, sir. And last but not least, if you want to leave any lasting answers or questions, I'm going to leave the floor to you to close
Oh,
us out.
well, I first off, I'm appreciative and grateful for the time to be able to talk on this subject and be able to share my expertise as well as just the benefits of job shadowing and the services that we provide at the Gulf Coast Workforce Board and the work that we do. I think that job shadowing is a really helpful moment service that we
Mm,
provide to be able to help these youth of the Gulf Coast really change the directory at times, confirm where they want to go, change where what they envision, and really expose the students to different pathways that maybe they didn't know about. And
mm.
I'm really happy to be able to talk about this and to proliferate this message and have people know that we are welcoming to those who would want
Yes,
to host somebody. We're welcoming to the idea of mentors being signed up to join and support our youth. We're always
yes,
looking for professionals who are willing to lend a hand to the next generation, to businesses that are willing to tap into the youth of Houston and its surrounding areas. And uh, well, we're willing to like reach out and well shake any hands that need to be shook
yes,
and
sir.
really make any kind of partnership that would support our youth here in the Gulf Coast. It is um, an honor to be able to help the next
Yes,
generation, I feel, and to really support them in their growth as we move forward because they are our future and
yes.
they are at times untapped and they really just need some support, a hand
There you
up,
go.
not a hand out. And yeah, I'm appreciative for the time and yeah, always looking for that.
Hey, well, Jalil, thank you so much. We really appreciate you for your time and this wonderful opportunity and all those valuable uh, insights that you shared. So we want to say thank you. And to the audience, Thank you all as well for listening, and we look forward to more information being shared to you from the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. Have a wonderful day, and remember, you are our future. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Higher Gulf Coast Youth, HGCY, is a dynamic initiative dedicated to igniting passion, expanding opportunity, and guiding youth ages 14 to 24 toward meaningful, sustainable careers. Through engaging career exploration activities and hands-on work-based experiences, HGCY connects young people with industries that show strong regional growth and offer pathways to high-skill, high-demand jobs. Recognizing that career decisions can feel overwhelming, Higher Gulf Coast Youth provides practical tools such as career exploration tools, job search tips, and resume assistance to make the process more accessible and effective. These resources are designed to help youth identify industries and occupations that align with their strengths, interests, and long-term goals. As part of our ongoing commitment to empowering young people, we also share key insights on in-demand occupations and priority industries across the Gulf Coast region. Whether you're just beginning to explore your options or ready to launch your career journey, Higher Gulf Coast Youth is here to help you make informed choices and confidently move towards your future.